My name is Valerian, and in this video we are going to go over looting practices and what to do after you find a spot to build. First, I need to address the changes in Alpha 18 that was released right after I made Part 1, which was filmed during Alpha 17. However, if you don't want to see that and you just want to get right to Part 2, click the timestamp in the description below. Part 1 was shot during the end of Alpha 17. I decided to shoot the video anyway in spite of the fact that a lot of things I taught in Part 1 might change with Alpha 18. Now Alpha 18 has been released. Many things changed and made some of what I suggested in Part 1 inaccurate. So I'm going to go over some corrections before I begin covering Day 2 through 7. In Part 1 I said make a bow and get ready to use it. The bow, more specifically the primitive bow, is perhaps the worst weapon in the game currently, so disregard that advice. You may still want to make one to kill animals, but animals are incredibly hard to kill at lower difficulties. For some reason I have no idea why. And with the primitive bow being so bad, it's even more difficult now. You're actually better off shooting animals with a gun now when you find one. So I would wait till I find a gun to start killing animals. Speaking of which, in Part 1, I failed to mention how dangerous pigs can be if you're not careful. Pigs do very high melee damage and will wreck you without armor. They are also fast now in Alpha 18, so you're better off fighting animals with a gun if you are new. Some good news though, clubs have gotten way better in Alpha 18, so I totally recommend using them to take down zombies. We will cover melee weapons in this video since they and guns are the only weapons feasible to use. And because you want to save your ammo for Horde Night, you will need to learn melee combat because the bow will not help you unless you get lucky and find a wooden or compound bow. Even then, the lack of birds' nests in Alpha 18 and low feather count per nest makes bows a waste of time and frustration to use as anything but an occasional secondary weapon, if that. It's almost not even worth putting on your hotbar. In fact, I don't even use it. Also, I did not talk about skill points in Part 1. This is because Alpha 18 was about to release, and I didn't want to talk skills when Alpha 18 would just change them around anyway. In fact, I was right about that. The skills were completely overhauled. In this video, I will briefly go over the skills you should get as soon as you get the quest to visit the trader. For certain, the first skill you want to pick up is Rule 1 Cardio. You can find this, yes I know, in the Fortitude tree. I don't know why it's there, but it is. Rule 1 Cardio is critical, especially if your zombies are fast. That way you don't run out of stam from going 10 feet while you're fighting, or being low on stam when you face a zombie. It really makes a difference. You will cover more ground faster. The next thing you want to pick up is Master Chef. Get this so you can craft bacon and eggs once you get a cooking pot. This will be a much better use of the meat you find from killing animals. Next, you want Sexual Tyrannosaurus. This skill is critical because you will be doing a lot of chopping with the stone axe and doing melee, so you will need all the stamina you can get, and you will have more stamina during fights. Put your last skill point into Blacksmith in the intellect tree if your trader's forge is destroyed. You want to forge ASAP so you can craft a cooking pot, forged iron, and pipes. If the trader's forge is working, then put the last point into intellect so you can get Grease Monkey when you hit level 2. This will allow you to make a bike right away, which you want ASAP. In A17, I recommended hitting gore piles. In Alpha 18, it is absolutely critical you harvest every gore pile and tire you see on the road. They are that important. Also, nests, like I said earlier, are hard to find, so it may be difficult to find enough eggs. As a last resort, cook up some charred meat or eat some canned food. Canned food doesn't give you food poisoning anymore, so you can pretty much live off of that until you find more meat. There is a risk of food poisoning to all non-canned foods now, such as bacon and eggs, but the chance is so low that you usually don't have to worry about it unless you get unlucky. Same with bottled water. You get a small chance of dysentery, but only if you are really unlucky. You cannot boil water with empty cans anymore. In fact, you can throw your empty cans out of your inventory. They really don't matter until later game. Dysentery is also not usually a death sentence anymore in Alpha 18, so if you get dysentery, don't panic. Just drink more water and you should be okay. Oh, and you don't need nearly as many plant fibers in the beginning as you used to. You also don't need as many fiber clothes, a welcome change. Another change is that you should not have to craft an item all over again if you craft the item before the quest tells you. They fixed this pretty good. Iron can't be harvested from small boulders anymore. In fact, don't even mess with small boulders unless you need stone in a pinch. Choose a large boulder or real stone instead. So, example of that. So this is the small boulder. You don't want to use that. You want this big boulder over here. Yeah, you might have to walk a little farther to get to it, but it's worth it. gives you so much more stone. So these are the big boulders that I'm talking about. Look for iron deposits on the ground. Here, I'll show you. So you just look around. They're everywhere. Honestly, iron deposits are like everywhere. Chances are there's a couple near your base location. See right here, there's some iron right here. Yeah, so this is where you want to get iron right away. This is actually easier, especially if you're in a forest biome. Other than that, everything else I went over in part 1 should still be accurate. Feel free to leave a comment if I missed something. I am always looking to improve. Now for the main video. If you want to have a successful Horde Night, meaning you kill all the zombies and don't die, follow everything I say here in this and the next 2 videos, and you will be well on your way to defeating your first Horde Night. I break the first week, that is day 2 through 7, into 2 phases. The looting phase and the building phase. The looting phase begins immediately after you find a base location and plop your chest, campfire, and bedroll down, usually on day 2. If it's day 3 and you still haven't found a good spot, consider restarting. So you found a suitable base location, what do you do now? Well, I would like to share with you a personal rule I have for at least the first 2 weeks, if not the entire game. That rule is always be looting. Always be looting. You want to be looting as much as possible to maximize the amount of loot you will have by day 7. The only time this rule doesn't apply is when you are building your base and gathering resources. Even then, you should be looting every piece of trash you see, every dumpster, every shopping cart, basket, suitcase, cardboard box, and so on and so on. Leave no stone unturned. It can be annoying to have to ferry items back and forth to your chest so much, but I believe it is worth it. Just keep looting everywhere you go. Every quest you do, every zombie you kill, every rock you mine. Loot everything, all the time. Always be looting. At this point, the only things you can pass on are brass objects, or bullet casings and gunpowder. I do not mean ammo. Intact ammo, you want to keep that. But all the brass stuff that isn't ammo, but it's just brass, you can toss that until mid to late game. You're not going to start seriously making bullets until mid to end game anyway, so you can pass on brass until you get a vehicle, and going back and forth isn't so rough. If you're not going to use a shotgun, you can pass on paper you find as well. Broken glass is practically useless unless you want to kill yourself in game. Glass blocks can also be passed on. They're just as useless as broken glass unless you want to place them in the world and have a window. Knowing what to keep and what to pass on only comes with experience. So in the beginning, take everything you find other than what I just mentioned back to the chest you put down. If you followed part 1, you should have found a town. Begin systematically looting every building you see close by. Close by means near the chest you put down. So this is where we put down our chest, our bedroll, and our campfire. And look at all these buildings around us. This is why you want to build next to a town, or this is why you want to place the stuff next to a town and start building near it, because you can easily loot and bring stuff back to the chest that way. There's this building right here. Don't pay attention to these broken rubble buildings. They're generally not worth the time that you spend on them. But the buildings like this passing gas station right here. There's even that little radio tower over there, though I don't really loot that till end game. There's a house over there. So just about most of these buildings, about 90% of these buildings, you want to just loot every single one of them. Now I'm going to take you guys to give you an example of how to loot a house and how to go about it. So let's go ahead and follow me. Yeah, so when you first approach one of these houses, you need to look around for a place to enter. So O'Malley Oats, this is like an oat factory or something. Anyway, so when you're looking at one of these buildings that you're going to loot, you need to first find an easy entrance to get in. There will always be, at least with every dungeon style POI or building that's placed in the world, there will always be an easy way to get in somewhere. So don't pay attention to all the barricaded stuff. Like right here, there's an open door waiting for us to come in. So basically, you come in, and now there's going to be zombies. So have your club out, especially if this is day 1, the club is all you have. But actually, what you should do first, now, you could use the club, that's fine, but I recommend, personally, sledgehammer. And you can just make a stone sledgehammer with the basic materials you got in day 1. Wait for it to craft, Generally, it's a good policy not to sprint inside buildings because it wakes up a lot of zombies unless you want to do that and you know what you're doing. So now we got the stone sledgehammer. I like the stone sledgehammer because it attacks relatively fast even though it's slower than the club, but its reach is just insane. Stone sledgehammer has so much more reach than the club does. You're going to go through this house and you're basically going to loot every single thing that you can hit E on. You don't take cans, so with that, always loot kitchen sinks, always. With the schematics here, this is a potato seed schematic. Notice the little book icon top left corner right here. If this is open, you've already read it, so you just want to sell that instead. Don't use it. But in this case, it's closed. If the book is closed, that means you haven't read it, so you want to go ahead and click use. Even this little trash bin right here, make sure you loot it. Like I said, it's really up to you. It goes with experience. Honestly, we're not going to be planting aloe vera seeds for a while. We're going to throw this land claim block out of here in this torch. We don't need that. We don't need the oak seed either. So you want to kind of preen your inventory constantly. We don't really use bows and arrows, so I'm just going to throw that out. Wooden club, we'll keep that in case, like, we could put it on the 3 key just in case our sledgehammer breaks or something. We can switch to the club. Anyway, so yeah, you just want to always be looting. You want to loot every single little thing you can find. You want to check every single object. No, we don't need to do that. The reason I toss it out of my inventory is because if you have loot respawn turned on, then you don't have to go through the hassle of taking the item out and then looking at it again, try to get it to respawn. It's just already respawned, ready to go. Pro tip about these vending machines: don't hit them with your weapon. Don't try to break them. You'll just get electrocuted. Expect to see zombies in here. Should get one any second. Okay, there's one right there. Now, when you use a sledgehammer, you want to stand a little bit away. Now, he snuck up on me. This is why you have your bandages on your hotbar. You don't want to get right up in their face. You want to stand like just a couple feet away from them, outside of their range, but inside your range. And you want to have the reticle. Try to aim for the head with the reticle. But if you have a problem with that, just aim for the neck and chest. Try to aim for the neck first. But if you have a problem with the neck as well, just go for the chest until you can start getting good headshots and neck shots. So, but the neck is really honestly what you want to go for if you're new, just like any FPS game. And this is a really annoying part about Melee and 7 Days to Die. When you swing, okay, it can look like you hit the zombie, but if your reticle was not on their head or on their body, it wasn't on them, when your hammer comes down, it will not connect and it'll miss or have a glancing blow. So yeah, just be aware of that you have to have the reticle on the zombie when your weapon's coming down on the swing. So yeah, oh yeah, also you can pass on lead. You don't need that. You get plenty of lead later. So we got 2 books. They're both closed, so we can look at them. Now sometimes paintings and objects like this will have things behind them. So if you want to take the extra time and uncover that stuff, you can. Like right here, there's clearly something behind it. You know, you can break that with your stone axe easily. Usually, sometimes it's metal, but usually it's not. Old cash is good to sell. Clear the room before you loot. Always. So now we're ready to go to the next room. And remember, you don't want to sprint in a building unless you're being chased by zombies and they're already awake. Now he hit us. See, you gotta have the reticle right on the zombie or it won't connect. There. So yeah, the sledgehammer is pretty powerful, especially the stone sledgehammer early on. Obviously, you want to get a heavier, slower, more powerful sledgehammer later on once you get used to the sledgehammer's mechanic. So it doesn't look like there's a lot of loot here. Oh, looks like we got another zombie. Remember, it's 2 paces away. You want to stay about 2 to 3 blocks away from the zombie and hit him. And try, if you have good aim, go ahead and aim for the head. Put the reticle on the zombie's head when you swing. and keep the reticle on the head, you gotta kind of have to do some tracking on it. Tracking's really important when doing melee. But yeah. But if you're not good at aiming, just aim for the chest. And it'll eventually knock him down so you can get a headshot. Like that. Okay, so... You know, and when you melee, just remember, the zombie is going to hit you sometimes. There's just really no way around it. Even when you're an aiming god, like, I mean, sometimes a zombie's just going to hit you, and there's nothing you can do about it. So yeah, be ready to take some hits. If your health is too low, maybe you want to get more health before looting house. If you have lockpicks, you can hold the E key and click pick lock. But I don't have any, so we don't have any right now. Yeah, we'll just leave the safe the way it is. Generally, you don't really want to mess with safes early game. They're kind of a waste of time because it'll take so long to break them with your stone axe. You could have been looting a lot of other stuff already. So when we get to a place like this where it's not very clear where we're supposed to go to next, you can always backtrack a little bit to see if you missed something. Like we missed the stairs here. We should be going up these stairs. So let's get up these stairs a little bit. Try not to sprint unless you have to. Oh, always have your weapon out when you're walking around the building and you're not looting or breaking something. Okay, we got a zombie right here. And we got a couple. You do not want the burning zombies to hit you. They can set you on fire and it really sucks. Okay, we killed him, good. Okay, so also you don't want to fight on stairs. That's a bad idea because the zombies go down the stairs fast and you go up the stairs slow. So definitely don't want to fight zombies on stairs. You want to just back away. Now, see these little fire particles going up? There's a sleeper zombie there. And you want to be on the lookout. You want to check every nook and cranny for sleepers if they haven't woken up yet. Now, these crates, these working stiff tools crates, these shipping crates, the boxes with a little crowbar symbol on them, you always want to break these and loot them. Even the Shamway boxes. Because now canned food is pretty good until mid to late game. Yeah, so you want to break these whenever you find them. Okay, looks like we can make powered doors and bridges. That's cool. So yeah, again, if the book is closed, go ahead and use it. If it's open, just leave it alone. Be on the lookout for these medical piles. You always want to loot these too. You want to pick up the nitrate as well. They're used in farm plots, so might save you a trip of having to go get it. While you're looting, a zombie from outside usually will aggro and enter the building behind you. You're just gonna have to account for that. There's a zombie right here. And remember, don't let these burning zombies hit you. Like, see, he hit me right there. Now, if this happens and you get on fire, you need to drink some water immediately. Put the fire out. Now, as you can see, we've been getting pretty unlucky there. See how I'm following the path of least resistance? That's how you want to do these dungeon-style POIs. Just follow the path of least resistance. And looks like we can go up here to this top building here. And it looks like there's a tough military zombie here. That's fine, just, you know, don't let tougher zombies like this hit you, because they'll hit you for a lot. Yeah, so the zombies can be kind of tough sometimes. You're gonna get hit a lot early game. It's really unavoidable. Yeah, the zombies have a really long reach, so it's just really hard to avoid hits sometimes. It's not even about getting good. Just the mechanics of this game are just in Alpha 18 are just set up so wonky that like really lag could get you hit just as easily as making a mistake. So really, just accept the fact that you're gonna get hit. You're gonna take health loss. Just try to mitigate it as much as possible. especially when you're new. You're going to get hit a lot. Make sure you pick cotton and keep bandages on you at all times. All right, so at the end of the POI, now this was a kind of a complicated POI. Usually they're a little easier to get to the loot room than this, but every POI like this will have a loot room of some kind. If you don't find like a reinforced chest or a room with good loot in it, of shipping crates and stuff, and things like this reinforced chest here, medical supplies or Shamway boxes or whatever, you'll see a concentration of good loot. If you don't see that yet, if you haven't seen anything like this here, you need to just keep looking because it's there somewhere. That or you looted it already and you didn't realize it. But a good indicator of whether or not you're in the loot room is there's a reinforced chest there, like right here. So this is the loot room of the POI. You want to break open the boxes. This is a bunch of parts. As you can see, we got some good stuff. You always want to take ammo. It's up to you whether or not you want to take crossbow bolts or not. But all metal items, objects, including empty cans, you can just scrap them for iron, and you want to do that with any tools that you're not going to use. You want to scrap them into iron, because getting a lot of scrapped iron is a good thing. You'll see later on. Okay, so, you know, when you see vitamins, just use them. Prevent you from getting sick, getting infected. Alright, that's pretty much the end. Once you reach the loot room and you're not in a quest or something, if you're just looting and you're not doing a quest, then you can just, once you hit the loot room, you can just leave. And I just, you know, you can do things like that. Just leave like this. Might have to kill a zombie or two, but... Yeah, you've got to kind of track their head with the reticle to get the best hit on them. But hitting them in the chest repeatedly will work as well. You get them knocked down so you can deliver that headshot. So yeah, this is basically how you loot. And you want to do this over and over again. Every building that you see, other than these wrecked buildings here, unless you want to do that. Any kind of dungeon style POI, you want to just loot it if it's near your base. The last thing, you do not want to leave a POI if you're doing a quest until you make sure that the top right corner of your screen, it's not there right now, but it'll say return to trader. If it says clear zombies or find White River supplies or whatever, it says anything but return to trader, you have not completed the quest yet and you need to go do that. So you need to like either find that package or kill those last remaining zombies. Okay, that's it for now. In part 3, I will go over getting a bicycle, so go ahead and look for that. If it's not there, check back in a few weeks or just subscribe to my channel and get notifications. That way you'll know exactly when it's uploaded. I also have a Twitch channel. Go ahead and stop by and say hello sometime. We also have a Discord. Come join House of Valerian and be a part of our community. I have a Patreon page. If you like my work and want to support it, go ahead and check that out. Links to all this will be in the description. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.